Hi, thanks for agreeing to speak to us in support of World Lipodystrophy Day and tell us about your journey with lipodystrophy. So can you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Patricia, Trish for short, and 55 years of age, and I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 32 in 1997. And then I went to the doctors one day. I saw a different doctor, and the reason why I was diagnosed, he said to me, "If yours had skinny arms and legs and a pot belly," and I was like, "What? You can't talk to me like that." But anyway, a bit of a joke. But so from there on, he sent me for testing, and that's when they diagnosed me with lipodystrophy, partial familial lipodystrophy.
Thank you very much, Trisha. So obviously you've already told us what type of lipodystrophy you have. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how lipodystrophy has affected you. What's the biggest impact it's had on your life?
Well, currently it's extreme tiredness. The fatigue is unbelievable. You can't even describe to people. When you say you're tired, they go, "Yeah, I'm tired." You know, if it's a "Yeah, I'm tired," and I think, "Yeah, I understand you're tired, but you've got no idea how this feels." It's like when when I'm going to eat something, I know that that food is going to send me to bed. Like I love cornflakes. Don't have them in the house normally. Got them in the house. Got visitors staying at the minute, family, and they're like cornflakes. So they're there. I'll eat them. I'll have a bowl, and I'll have to go to bed. Everything I like, I can't eat. So I'm always in this internal battle with: do I eat nothing, which will make me give me energy, weirdly enough, or not energy, but it'll make me not feel tired, or do I eat and then feel pretty awful? I've got this like a real battle of: can I eat fruit? Not really. Can I eat vegetables? Yeah, loads of, but you don't want to eat a Brussels sprout on its own. Can I have a roast dinner? Yeah, but you can't have the potatoes, or you shouldn't. Or I think for me, the main thing is a lot of confusion. And I've never actually been able to find a dietitian, even through the hospital, that says the correct thing. Because when you go to see a dietitian at the hospital, they look at diabetes and they say low carbs. Fine, low carbs. But then what about low fat for the lipodystrophy? What about low sugar, again, because of diabetes? So just leaves me totally confused and worn out, really, with it, like burnout at times. The other ways it affects me, well, it affects your whole life because you're too tired to exercise. Even though you know everything you've got to do that's good for you, you're often too tired to do because I've eaten something bad that will ruin the whole day of what I'd got planned. Like if I want to go, say, to the gym, I think to myself, well, I need to eat certain foods to get me through the gym because the blood will go low. But if I eat them, I won't want to go. So it's an internal battle of who you are as a person, really, and nobody can really understand it. And trying to describe to people what's wrong with you. You know, you say I'm obese on the inside, and I'm like, you look at my arms and my legs. People say, "Do you work out?" No, I don't work out because I've got time. No, I've got the energy to work out. But people have said that all my life. I've got quite muscly arms. Well, probably not that muscly, but you know they are. So I've got no fat on my arms or my legs, but it's all around my belly. So I look like I'm pregnant nearly all the time. So although I can wear nice clothes, I can't because the belly just looks ridiculous. So yeah, so many psychological problems with it, and it's led me to have borderline personality disorder, to be honest, and body dysmorphia. So I don't. People might say you look nice, whatever. I don't see it. I just see this distorted image of myself, which is quite embarrassing to talk about. But as we're being honest about lipodystrophy.
Thank you so much for sharing, Trisha, because I know how difficult it is. And I know that a lot of people in our community really do struggle with the same issues. So both in terms of the fatigue, which is just next level fatigue that someone who doesn't experience it just can't understand, the difficulties day to day with food and the very love-hate relationship that we have with food, and you know, the worries that we have in terms of what we can eat, what we can't eat, what energy that's going to give us or not give us. And then on top of that, the body image, and particularly as a woman, although men do suffer with the same difficulties with body image, and how difficult that can be on our psychological well-being. So thank you for sharing that, because I know that's difficult, but I also know that that will really help other people who are feeling the same kind of things at the moment. So you told us a little bit about your diagnostic journey, but can you tell us a little bit about how long it took? Were there any misdiagnoses along the way? How difficult was that?
So 24 years ago, got diagnosed with diabetes, and it's always been a awful journey of you're not doing it right, you're not eating, or you're not exercising, or you're doing something wrong, because the insulin levels would always go up and up and up. And I was always kind of making sure, well, you know, you're not doing it right. Because when I started out with this journey of diabetes, they told me to eat carbs. I'm sure they did. Sure they did years ago, eat carbs. And now it's not eat carbs. So for 24 years, and then I started to see a new team of people that obviously were beginning to realise or know about lipodystrophy. Before that, they tested me for Cushing's disease or something like that. Some other weird thing where I had to pee in a bucket for 24 hours. I don't know what, it was a test. I don't know what test it was, but I did a week of tests where they eliminated a load of these things. About 10 years ago, I had a really good doctor who was trying to figure out why my bloods are crazy. So he put me in hospital for a week and put me on a sliding scale monitor thing. I don't really understand it. But after he'd done all that, and he didn't know about lipodystrophy because he would have said, the only thing we come away with was he said, you need as much insulin as an elephant does. And I never understood that. I used to say that to people, but not really understanding what that meant, other than I needed a lot of insulin. Weirdly enough, for having this so long, like 24 years diagnosed, I mean, if it's partial, I don't know if you have it all your life, but I've not had anything wrong so far that I know of. You know, eyesight seems to be okay, you know, a few odd bits. Not had anything chopped off yet. You know, that they say, oh, you'll have your leg cut off your arm with this. They used to frighten me. If you don't get your bloods down, you'll have your arm off, your leg off and all that. So it's kind of because they didn't get that before either. The doctor said, with these bloods this high, you should be like in big problems. And they could never understand why I was so skinny. And then they started a campaign, I don't know how many years ago, oh, not all diabetics are overweight, because that's what they used to say. You know, they used to say to me, I could look at someone and tell you that they'll be diabetic at some point in their life. I did have gestational diabetes. That was before I was diagnosed, obviously, went away. They put my diabetes down to the shock of my mum dying, because she died, and then 3 months later, I got it. But I was only tested out of a fluke because a neighbour was a nurse, and I used to crave alcohol. I think it must have been the sugar. I was virtually an alcoholic because I was always drinking, because I needed the sugar stimulus, or I think I needed the sugar to give me energy. I was always looking for things that would give me energy, i.e. a bit of sugar. I don't know what it did to my body, but it made me feel alive. But then I'd have the slump. So it's been a battle of trying loads of things, awful things like the bullying as a child. I mean, I don't know if that would have helped knowing, but it would have made me understand a bit more why I went through half the things I went through as a child. And yeah, it's crap, really.
It sounds like you've had a hard time of it. You know, like you say, having an understanding of what has caused some of those things does help, just to understand why. It doesn't take it away, but at least it kind of puts a name to it.
Yeah. It does make you realise a bit, like, why am I so tired? I never knew before. Like, I used to think it's my bloods. Then I'd stop eating. So I'm lucky I've never had to go down the anorexia, bulimia route, because I can imagine there are people out there that may have considered that, because you feel guilty for eating, you know, or you know that it's going to make you feel bad. So it's very hard. And maybe I shouldn't have said that, but there's times when I thought, because the doctor that diagnosed me, Professor Semple, he was at the Cambridge clinic, and he's now moved to Edinburgh. He said to me, Trish, the only way we can cure you, he said, what we could do, if we put you in a room and didn't let you out and you didn't feed you, you wouldn't have lipodystrophy. I don't know why he said that, whether that was correct, whether he was just using that as an analogy, but that is what he said. And he said to me, you need to think of yourself as obese. So eat as if you're an obese person. Does that make sense to you? Because basically everything I eat, from what I can understand, goes around my organs. I don't know if that's true. I'm just going by what he told me. Everything goes around my organs. I know I've got a fatty liver. And I know that it doesn't distribute, no fat goes on my arms, my legs, fingers, toes, or anything like that. It's all my trunk, you know, all the bits that you don't want to show, or that are on show, your head, your neck, your boobs, your belly, kind of thing. With skinny arms and legs, so you almost look like one of them cartoon characters that the kids draw, like a big arm sticking out. But yeah, I've heard so many weird things over the years of what it is and what it's not, and I've learned now not to go to the doctors, because every time I go and see a GP, they send me to hospital. The other day I had to go to hospital because I had bronchitis. I went to the GP. They said, because of your history, we don't know what's wrong. Ambulance, hospital. I mean, it's ridiculous. So now I don't go to the GP.
Oh, Trisha.
No, I'm not kidding.
I do understand, because when you don't have someone who understands, a medical professional that understands, either you get a lot of misdiagnoses, or you get labelled as a hypochondriac, or they just wash their hands of you because they don't know what to do with you. So having a clinician that understands you, or at least is willing to learn about lipodystrophy, is really, really important. And unfortunately, not everybody has that. I want to go back to what you said about the food issues and the anorexia and bulimia, because I think that's really important not to just pass over. So as you said, unfortunately, because of the issues that we have with hunger and energy levels, there is a massive fixation on food, and of course, as you said, eating does also make you feel really unwell. And so, that may be something that people look to as a solution, but I'm here to say that that is obviously not a solution that works for anybody. And if you feel that way, then please seek additional support. But unfortunately, we do have really difficult dietary choices to make, and of course, with those people who are suffering really badly with hyperphagia, hunger, all you want to do is eat all the time. And so making those, sensible food choices becomes a lot more difficult. And what Dr. Semple said to you about think of yourself like an obese person, and about the fat going around your organs. What he meant by that was, because in lipodystrophy there is a loss of fat cells, which is normally how our body would store excess energy. It would store it as fat in fat cells, but of course without the fat cells it can't do that. So what happens is that excess fat gets stored instead around organs, so around your liver, around your heart, in your muscles, and a lot of the fat infiltration of these organs, in particular in the liver and the muscles, helps to make insulin resistance a lot worse than it already is in people with lipodystrophy. And because we are resistant to insulin, essentially that means we need more insulin to do the same job as it would be doing in someone who wasn't insulin resistant, which is why when he said you need the insulin of an elephant, it's because, despite obviously being a human being and not needing as much insulin as an elephant, because we're resistant to insulin. You know, we need so much more in order to achieve the same results. And I think that's, as you said, that is definitely something the vast majority of our community really struggle with, is diet. You know, what are the right things to eat? We're often told conflicting information
that's
by dietitians that are not familiar with lipodystrophy. And you know, that makes it really, really difficult. And one of the things Lipodystrophy UK are doing are putting together some recipes and ideas, and as part of World Lipodystrophy Day, and certainly on our website we will be sharing recipe videos and ideas, which is great. And we encourage the community to share their ideas, because if you found something that works, that's really tasty but also really healthy and not going to affect your fatigue, etc., you know, that's something we all want to share with each other. So hopefully we can come up with some good ideas from that. So thank you for sharing that, Trisha, because again, I know I keep saying this, but it is difficult, but it does mean a lot to people, particularly those who haven't necessarily sought an opportunity to speak out for themselves. Just particularly newly diagnosed people, I think, finding videos or information about other patients they can relate to is really, really helpful for them. So thank you. I think one thing that would be really useful to people is to see and understand what kind of coping strategies you use. Are there things that you found that work really well that help you deal with day-to-day things, whether it's diet or mood or, you know, energy, etc.? You know, what do you find helps you?
Walking the dog helps a lot. So forcing myself to exercise in certain ways, getting the sleep that I need, and actually what really helps is when I try really hard to eat well, and I know I can do it, and I know it's easy, and I know it can be the vicious circle of you're too tired to do it, but when you take that step to do what you're supposed to do just as a normal human being, which is eat well and exercise, you will feel fantastic. You really will, you know. And looking after yourself, making the effort to put your makeup on or do your hair or paint your toenails. Basically, we're the same people. We just have issues with energy, like so many other people do with so many illnesses. And it could be, you know, a lot worse. And I think knowing and understanding what's wrong with us gives us the armor to move forward and be better people. And if you feel like you need, I don't know, see the doctor because you're, for whatever reason, you know, just go and explain to the doctor what's wrong. And the simple way I do it is just saying, look, all my fat goes around my organs, so I need this checked out, or I'm feeling this, or, you know, I do go to see a lot of specialists to make sure, because I got worried, and now I know that my liver's fatty, I know that my heart's fine, you know, just little bits and pieces, but peace of mind. And just telling people and being honest, you know, I've got this illness, and, you know, I make a joke of it because the doctor said I'm 1 in a million. There's like 30 people with my particular one, which is PPAR gamma.
PPAR gamma, yeah.
Yeah, type 3. And he said you're 1 in a million. So I'll just go around saying, people, I'm tired, but I'm 1 in a million, you know, make a bit of fun out of it. And as we get older, we accept ourselves more, you know, we sort of can look at ourselves and go, you know, I look just as good as anybody else, you know, for whatever reason. If you feel you don't, have Botox, have filler. I mean, we can't, but do you know what I mean? Like, if I know some people lose it in their face or whatever, just whatever makes you feel good, just do it, you know. And the main thing is keeping a positive attitude. I've had the down days and the down weeks and stuff. But what I found is a thing called following the law of attractions. I don't know if you know what it is, but it's not about being positive, but it's about putting out into the world what you want from the world. You know, you might want to cut all this out, but basically it's just really about being the best version of yourself. And if you're too tired to do something, you are too tired to do it. You know, your body tells you whether you can go to work like I did yesterday, and then my daughter wanted a photo shoot for 2 hours. I did it, but boy, by the end of it, I just really, and you say you're tired, and they were tired because it was hot studio, and I went, you don't understand. I need to lie down. And then it gets to the point where when you can't, that you get angry because it feels like your whole body just wants to switch off. And for me, that's the answer, sleeping a lot, you know, just for 2 hours in the afternoon, not all day, but get up, do what I've got to do, have a nap in the afternoon. You know, everyone knows I'm going to do it. And that's just the way I get through it. And then I do a walk in the morning and a walk. So I get about an hour and a half. Whether I have the dog or not, I would still do it. You know, I've learned that going to the gym is a balancing act of eating the right foods, not doing too much exercise, you know, because you get your low reading. But I've really learned to live with it. And you know, I like myself for it. You know, I might have body issues and stuff, don't like this, don't like that. But, you know, I can hide my big belly. You know what I mean? I can wear clothes that complement the way I look and life a lot more. And I live by acceptance leads to happiness. That's my motto in life. Acceptance leads to happiness.
I love that, Trisha, and that's a really important message. I think, you know, not just people with lipodystrophy, but generally speaking, people are always looking for what other people have that they haven't got. And actually, it's about self-acceptance, being happy with who you are, what you have, and making the most of it. I think that's a really important message. So thanks for sharing that. Finally, what would you like others to know about you and about lipodystrophy? What is the thing that you wish people understood?
About me, that I'm not faking it. I'm not looking for attention. I'm not looking for a poor you or a, oh, she's moaning again. Just acceptance, you know, because you can't see there's anything wrong with me. There is quite a lot wrong with me, you know. It's like people go, because the easiest way to describe it is you've got diabetes. Everyone knows what diabetes is. So you say I'm diabetic because you can't go around saying you lipodystrophy, blah, 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 because it takes too long and it's too confusing. And then they go, oh, my blood's diabetic. Oh, he's fine, you know, he doesn't get tired or he doesn't need to do this. Or I think being able to talk about the psychological side of life would be easier, you know, without people dismissing it and saying, oh, yeah, but I get that. Oh, I feel like that. And yeah, I suppose more understanding from people would be good. And I forgot the last bit of the question. I forgot all the question.
Well, no, you've answered it. It was just, what would you like people to know about you and about lipodystrophy and understand better?
Yeah, I'd like there to be more awareness, because I don't know about your other people, like sometimes you can look at someone maybe in the diabetic clinic and go, I bet they've got it. Because you can tell, can't you, by shapes and stuff. And I just wish more doctors knew about it, because I've had to move to Leicestershire for a few years to look after my nephew, and I'm seeing a new doctor in April, and I knew she didn't know about lipodystrophy. So I paid to see a specialist to tell him about lipodystrophy, because it was an NHS one that I was going to in April, to see him. So I could tell him, who then could explain it to the doctor that I'm only going to have 10 minutes with. Because I thought by the time I've spent time telling her, you know, because my bloods are really high at the minute. Yeah. And I've come to the point where they've been so high and I've been so tired, I'm redoing my diet. I'm redoing it. Because to be honest, I do go to Costa, and I did, since I moved here, have a coffee and a croissant, because I loved it. I loved it every morning. But it don't love me. It really don't love me. And I'm fed up with knowing that makes me feel really tired. So now I'm getting up, and I had like porridge with berries. I know it's still carbs, but it's slow releasing. I think you can get so fed up with feeling the way you are, and you know you can do things about it. You know you can. So therefore, I'm changing my diet. Last night I was hungry. I thought normally I'd go for a biscuit, and I had a banana. I know it's high in sugar, but it got me through the night. And there was something about banana that made me sleep better. I don't know if there's something in a banana, but I slept well. I think there's some calming thing in it. But basically, knowing I do know what I should eat and in what quantities and how often and stuff. But I sometimes I just don't want to be controlled by it. But I'm not letting it control me. I'm now going to control it, because summer's coming. I don't want to, feel crap for the summer. And I'm quite positive about it, because I've got fed up with the way I was feeling. And I knew it was all these awful things I was eating, like bread or toast in the morning. And, even if you've not got the lipodystrophy, health conscious people wouldn't be eating that, would they? So many health conscious people, they're not going to have a chocolate twist in the morning, which is what I love. It wasn't cross, it was a chocolate twist and a coffee, which is coffee still fine. But yeah, so really I just have to think of myself as a health conscious person. And deep down, I always used to be, before I knew I was diabetic, but then diabetic confused the whole picture. Because I always had that in my head, do this because you want to be fit and you want to, look good when you're younger. And then diabetes hit, and then the whole can eat this, can't eat this. And then I just got confused for like 10 years. So yeah, I'm back onto this is like a vitamin drink. So I'm back onto and I'm feeling better today. I mean, what time is it? I'd normally be doing my nap 2 till 4. So, and I've started a part-time job, sort of volunteering as well as working. And I'm made sure I do it in the afternoons, because I know I can battle through the sleep. And I know I feel better for it, because I'll sleep in the evening. Yeah, it's a constant battle, but it's a battle you can win, I feel, with the right attitude and listening to your body, really. And I mean, I know some people have to take different drugs, and I'm on hundreds of units of insulin. I once nearly got arrested because someone says, "You can't take that. She must be." Yeah, I was somewhere and I took like 100 units of insulin, and this woman didn't understand it, and she thought I was a nutcase, and she actually called the police, and the police turned up, and I had to explain. She thought I was trying to kill myself. Yes, seriously, I swear. The things I've had to go through life. You can't take that amount of insulin. So yeah, but I know I can. I know I need to. Forgot what I ate, but obviously not something I should have had. Yeah, so you find yourself in all sorts of situations. But, it's all okay. It's better to know you've got it. I think you can protect your health knowing you've got it.
Fantastic, Trish. It's been really enjoyable talking to you, as always.
I hope so. I do blab on. It's very hard to describe it, because it can really get you down if you let it. It can really get you down if you let it. I remember when I first found out I had it, it was like, oh my God. It was just, I saw a genetic counsellor. Because not a lot they can do, because in Scotland where I was, they said there's hardly anybody. I think you knew one family that had it, and I went, he got me in touch with you guys, but I said I need to see someone or speak to someone. There was no one. Saw a genetic counsellor, and she said got a good insight into my illness. But I think having an illness makes you stronger as a person. Makes you fight more. So anyway, I hope that was all right. I hope it weren't a load of rubbish. And if you have to cut it all out, I'm fine with that.
No, it's fantastic. Thank you so much. Just sharing what you're going through, not only helps raise awareness, but it really gives comfort to others that are going through the same thing. And I think actually you've been really uplifting, in your attitude and the fact that you understand that the most important thing is self-acceptance and looking after yourself and being proactive to take care of your health where you can. So thank you so much for sharing, Trish. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'll leave it there.